Well, hello guys. Welcome to the show. We are talking today with retired Lieutenant Kevin Hallinan. We're talking about his book. It's called Over the Wall: From the Dangerous Streets of New York City Through the Birth of Counterterrorism and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you here. So, your book sounds amazing because you have had such an incredible career. If you don't mind, I want to ask you first, tell me a little bit of your why you got involved in law enforcement. What was the draw for you those years back?
Well, I guess it came originally from my parents. They were two Irish immigrants that met in the United States. And my dad believed that being a police officer was probably the next job to being the mayor. So there was kind of a little bit of a push there. And I actually read a book. I worked for McGraw Hill when I came out of high school, publishing book company, and somebody left a book on my desk about a young police officer at that time who had an amazing career, and that book really kind of inspired me as well.
That's awesome. Did you feel when you got involved? Now, we're talking New York City, so you were truly, truly in the thick of it. And, that is a beast all of its own and completely unique to the experiences of town policing. I mean, just hugely, just that, for example. Was it what you anticipated it would be like?
Also, I tell you what, I guess I went in with my eyes closed. Of course, being from the Bronx, New York, I had some experience with the city. Uh, but I really didn't know what was it going to take. Was I going to be good enough for it, for the challenges of the job? I spent 7 years on the west side of Manhattan in an area that was just really great to break in because there were the rich, there were the poor, and there were the criminals, and it kept me really busy. And I guess I learned uh, how to react and how to work with people in many times crisis situations. And I had a partner, fortunately, during most of that time who was the same way as me. We wanted to make a difference. We wanted to feel that when the police arrived on the scene, whether it was an accident, someone had to go to the hospital, or in some cases, twice, delivered a baby. I mean, there were meaningful experiences, and there was really an appreciation of people when they understood that you cared about them and you were looking to help. Now, obviously, there were other situations where you had to take police action and be quick, but it was an unbelievable experience, a very rewarding experience as I went through the ranks of the NYPD and ran into a lot of difficult, challenging situations. But as I look back, it was extremely rewarding, and I'd do it again.
That's incredible. You must have had some really great instinctual understanding of how to navigate that type of work, of lifestyle, because of the experiences and the things that you see, the things that you have to deal with. That we talk a lot about compartmentalizing and all of those things. Were things like that, like, now we talk so much about mental health and protecting our peace and all of those things. Those were not conversations back in the day, right? I mean, you did your job and you dealt with it, and that was it. Have you been on, or were you still on the job when all of this talk about protecting the mental health of law enforcement was even a conversation, or you were done before they even cared?
Well, I guess Elsa, no, there were no conversations really at that time, but I believe that me and my partner and others in the police department, there were some terrific men and women in the department who believed the same thing. To a certain degree, we were mental health. We came and tried to make a difference, try to decide whether they should be going to the hospital to get checked, and that we were regulars at Roosevelt Hospital, and they had some great doctors and psychiatrists and people, and they would obviously make the final decision. But we just wanted to help. We didn't want to walk away from a situation that clearly was going to get worse. So with that attitude, I think it helped us get through policing. And believe me, the sun didn't shine every day. There were times where we made mistakes, and but we learned from them, and we grew. There was a lot of mentoring in the job at that time that really helped us grow.
I love that, and I love your reasons for being a law enforcement officer and going in the direction that you did in life. And I talked to my husband, who's also in law enforcement, long time, and I hear so many similarities there. And it's the desire and need to help others, and through times of crisis, and just be the good guys. And I love that just touches my heart so much. um, I want to talk a little bit about your career. Your career was incredible. You started off as a beat cop, correct? And then you rose
Yes.
through the ranks. So I have to read a little bit here. So you rose through the NYPD ranks to command America's first ever joint task force on terrorism, alongside the FBI. Tell me a little bit about that experience. That had to be just incredible.
Well, Elsa, what happened is telling the book about my experiences in the detective bureau and homicide with organized crime, all kinds of different interactions. And when I got the call from the police commissioner one morning, I was a commander of the Manhattan robbery squad at that time. And he told me that I was to report the next morning to FBI headquarters as the first commander of the joint FBI NYPD terrorist task force, made up of agents and detectives. And, I thought to myself when I hung up the phone, who am I? I mean, obviously, I had a lot of investigations in many different areas of crime, but terrorism was just, I didn't even know there was a terrorist task force. Of course, they really had just started. But the first time that it really came home was on New Year's Eve, 1982, where I had just gone to a party up in Rockland County, about 30 miles from the city, when I got a call that I had to get to the city right away. There had been a bombing. And I remember going to the scene of the bombing. It was at police headquarters. And as I got out of my car and I saw all these flashing lights, etc., and I was getting briefed that there were police officers seriously injured, uh, and that there were a total of 5 bombs put around the city at the U.S. Attorney's office, at the task force office, at police headquarters. And as I'm walking through this, I'm quite honestly calling on the Lord to give me courage and give me help, because I considered myself almost inadequate to the task. But I got in there and I did the best I could. And again, with a lot of help from my friends, men and women, agents and detectives, who realized that I was a new guy on the block, and they helped me get started. And it turned out almost a 5 year uh, career in the FBI with situations and terrorist groups that we worked on. And the good news was by 1985, we had made over 100 arrests of domestic terrorists in not only in New York, but in other cities in the United States. And the good news was that there were other agencies, small departments, large departments, Secret Service, the marshals, United States attorneys, district attorneys, everybody came together. And it actually was because of a robbery homicide up in Rockland County. 2 police officers and a Brinks security guard were killed. And I think at that time, most police officers realized we all had a target on our back. It was at that time 6 terrorist groups that were involved in that robbery homicide. And we had to investigate, and were investigating 9 separate groups at the same time. And the reason that one of the reasons they were so effective, they were very intelligent, very deliberate, and very committed. It was the Weathermen, it was the Black Liberation Army, it was the FALN, it was the United Freedom Front, even the Jewish Defense League got involved in it. It was a very tight, organized group. And the reason was they did not want to have infiltration by law enforcement. So they kept their numbers small. And again, cellular structure. If you captured one of them, they didn't have enough information to give you, if they wanted to. In most cases, they never did. Who were the other people involved? What were the goals? What they did in Brinks in Rockland County, they looked at that armored car robbery for 3 months. What they were about was target assessment. They would look not at one target, they'd look at 4 or 5 different targets, and each one assess the value. How much would they get out of it? What would be the publicity? They were clear that New York was the place to do what you got to do because of the media and the national, international coverage of what they did.
Wow. The scope and magnitude and the layers of everything that had to have been involved in, just discovering all of these things is just mind-blowing to me. And you talk about this in the book, correct? Yes, that's in the book, right?
Elsa, absolutely. I actually worked my way through it. Were many, if you will, incidents and investigations. Uh, Both organized crime coming to me as a young detective with a very sensitive homicide case from Pleasant Avenue, and were telling me, "You're going to make telephone numbers on this case," and of course, that was their exit. As they went out the door, because all I told them was I wanted the 2 people responsible who I had identified into the station house, processed, and down to court. I wanted nothing to do with any bribe money or anything else. I ended up in a homicide squad in the Bronx, 3 different groups fighting for millions of dollars in drug money. My first day at reporting to the homicide squad and my Sunday go to meet and close, I almost didn't make it out in a situation in a hallway in the South Bronx. So the stories leading up to what was unbelievable, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and of course, I also mentioned that I got drafted after giving a presentation on terrorism by Sports Illustrated to be their lead security chief for the '84 Olympics. And the
Wow.
FBI director and the police commissioner said, if you don't go, we will. That
Wow.
led to the connection to Major League Baseball.
Just just mind blowing. I'm sitting here in such awe of you, and the most charming thing of all, sir, is that you're so humble. You're so humble about it all, and your career is just beyond incredible. Your accomplishments. So you retired from law enforcement, and then you became the executive director of security, and I have to read it, I apologize, of security and facilities management for Major League Baseball. What a crazy, wild jump that is, from counterterrorism to Major League Baseball. That's incredible. Tell me a little bit more about that story. Like when you were approached for that, were you like, what?
Also, I couldn't believe it. What happened was someone from Sports Illustrated, a ranking person, apparently heard they were looking for a security chief at baseball and called Sports Illustrated and said, "Hey, call Kevin and let him know he should throw his hat in the ring." Well, I did, but I was a lieutenant, a detective commander, if you will, but they were the head of agencies that were looking for that job. I mean, it was a national job, and uh, for me to get it, it was a dream. I guess all my prayers were answered. But what was really important was when I am in baseball with all this background in terrorism and 9/11 happens. So, with all humility, I will say I think I was in the right place at the right time, because clearly my job was to secure and make sure that our fans were coming to 30 different stadiums and they were going to be safe and secure. And one of the things that I was really sensitive to was I didn't want to make these ball games security events. I wanted a baseball game, but yet I wanted to make sure we had done everything possible before the fans ever came into that ballpark, that we had taken every precaution to make sure that they were going to be safe. And what was interesting about, again, 9/11, we didn't concentrate on just the stadium. We also looked circular at the area around the stadium, at if you will, the railroad tracks, the chemical laboratory that was maybe a block or two away, because I knew of the planning of the adversary and what they would do. And I had to kind of think like them. And obviously, I wasn't by myself. Stadium operation directors, they fell right in with what we were looking to do. We worked closely with the FBI and with the task force and with law enforcement in each municipality. Very, very important, because I had done one other thing shortly after joining baseball. I told baseball, right now, your security policy is reactive. It's got to be proactive. We've got to prevent. And what I wanted to do, and the baseball commissioner said, make it happen. I went to each city where we had a Major League Baseball team, met with the chief of police, and told him I wanted the best police officer they had to work, an active police officer to work part time as a security consultant with the local team, not to do police, no conflict of interest, but to take care of baseball's rules and procedures and become an asset, a resource to the team. I got 30 of the best that I could find. And I tell you what, it wasn't a lot of joy in baseball when I announced this program. I remember somebody in the back of the room yelling, "We don't need a cop in our kitchen." Well, indeed they did, but it took about certainly at least 2 years to build the relationship between these police officers who originally were coming to 30 games of an 81 game home schedule. That
Mhm.
program was started in 1987. It's still in place today. And
Wow.
over 1,000 police officers. By the way, Elsa, you like this? I got women involved in it as well. So
I
it
love it.
was a team of people that have made a difference from baseball. And again, I'm so proud that it's still in place today.
Kevin, you gave me chills when you brought up 9/11 and your role and the significance of you having been put in that position at that time when you were so needed to be there. And um, it's just incredible to me and awe-inspiring. Um, let's talk a little bit about the book, because I know that's going to be in there. I know that's all in there, so I'm really excited to read more about it. Let's talk a little bit about the book, Over the Wall. What made you decide? 'Cause I'm going to take a guess that everybody you know has said to you at one point before writing this book that you have to write a book. Am I right?
You're absolutely right, and
Yeah.
and I just kind of blew it off. I didn't really think about it, but I think also what kind of pushed me in a direction, as you can see, I love the job. I love being of service, and in a small way making a difference. But with all the negativity about policing these days, I really want to show those that are maybe thinking about it, or even help inspire and get people who are in the job to realize how important it is and really how rewarding it can be. And I think this book, by the way, and I should mention, having a family and having a wife who believed in what I was doing and gave me all the support. that I needed to continue because, as I used to say, I would leave my armor at the bridge. I didn't bring the stories home. I can remember some tough nights coming home, and the house would be dark, and I had four children, and I would go room to room looking at, my children and thanking God that they were safe, and taking a little toy away from some of them. Uh, but again, appreciative of what I had seen, that afternoon and evening. And I was so fortunate to have a wife and a family that was helping me get back out there tomorrow and do what I could to try and make things better on the other end.
That is so beautiful, Kevin. And everything you said is so true and so right. The significance and importance of having that support at home from your family, your spouse, your loved ones, and the appreciation for them for an understanding for what you do and what you experience. It is invaluable. We advocate for that over here for law enforcement families to, live the best lives possible and have the best supportive environment for our law enforcement officers, so they can do exactly what you said, go out and do their job and come home. That's our number one goal for our loved ones in law enforcement. Just come home. And I can speak as a law enforcement spouse that we are so proud, so unbelievably proud of what our spouses do and who they are as human beings, and for representing, and to you, sir, specifically, thank you for being everything what the badge is supposed to represent, and what you're supposed to do. So I personally thank you for that, and extend my gratitude for what you've done in your career. It's just incredible. And to your wife and your kids, I thank them as well for being that support system so you could do what you do. It's just incredible to me, and it's truly my heart. I get emotional with it. So thank you very, very much for that. The book sounds just so truly, truly amazing. Tell me a little bit about the writing process with that book. Was it easy? Was it challenging? Did it just flow? Because it's different for everybody.
Well, Elsa, I guess my children, now adult children, watching what I was up to. I have to tell you that I have two sons who are FBI agents. I have a daughter who works with blind children. She's a visual rehabilitation specialist, and another daughter who works with autistic children. So they're all involved in service because that's really what it was about. And writing the book it turned out ever actually much better than I thought because, as you will see in the book, I write a lot about the people that were difference makers who helped me and obviously helped the community by the way they conducted themselves, both in NYPD and with the FBI. It was important that I bring credit to these people because they never got the credit they deserved, and they gave me an opportunity. They mentored me and passed me on one to the other for greater
Mm.
challenges. And I was able to contact them. I was able to interview them, if you will, and they were surprised. And unfortunately, in life, some of them have passed on. And I'm actually this Thursday going to the 42nd anniversary of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and they're honoring the original members, old guys like me, at a dinner reception in Brooklyn, of all places. And
Mm.
it's going to be a packed house, and it's going to be really special. But as important, a number of the relatives, wives, etc., are going to be there for that event. And what I'm hoping to do is to get some time with them and talk about a little bit about my mention of the contributions that their husbands made with the success of the task force.
That's wonderful. That sounds like it's going to be such an amazing event. I sit here, I listen to all of this, and I think about, when we talk about being retired for law enforcement, there's really no such thing as retirement, is there? There's no such thing. You're you're always, even today, you are always. Service is really in your blood. It's in your DNA, and clearly you pass that DNA onto your children, and that's just incredible. Congrats to you and them for all the amazing things that they're doing. Such a testament to upbringing and passing along those incredible values. And they're going to be doing the same. They're going to pass that on to their kids too. So generations to come. That's got to be such a great feeling for you, isn't it?
Elsa, it is. And also, most importantly, with the book, part of the proceeds are going to go to Papa. And Papa is a police support group, independent of the police department. And Papa standing for Police Organization Providing Peer Assistance to active and retired police officers that may be battling depression, possible suicide, alcoholism. It was started in 94, 95, those 2 years. And it was because of 26 homicides of mostly retired PD who took their lives. And this group, it's 200 active and retired. I'm serving my 15th year after I retired from baseball. As you said, I couldn't sit still. And I've been working with Papa for the last 15 years. I'm on a hotline every 4 or 5 weeks for 24 hours. And these calls that we get are just so rewarding. I meet with the person the next day and see, I'm really a bridge to resources. And everybody in Papa, from psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, everybody is a volunteer. We're all volunteers. And it's an amazing organization actually being looked at by the military because of their success with bringing the homicide numbers down to the lowest number possible. So Papa is going to get some of the monies that would be raised by the book. So I'm really pleased about that as well.
That is just incredible. So amazing and so awesome. What a terrific organization. Tell everybody where they can find your book. Are you doing any like book signing events, any touring or anything like that right now?
Elsa, I haven't. The radio shows have really been the key. Of course, the family's been out there doing a little business, but no, I haven't done any book signings as yet. But from what I hear from the publicist, that the radio shows really have gotten the interest in the book and the sales, and that's really helped.
That's terrific. And tell everybody where they can find your book.
Yes, Amazon, over the wall, Kevin M. Hallinan. Make sure there's a couple of over the walls out there from years back. But yes, that over the wall, Amazon will get it to you the next day. I mean, they've been absolutely terrific in helping us. And quite honestly, the word is, Elsa, and keep it to yourself, that if this book goes, the publisher has said he'd like me to do a baseball book, which again is another positive story about a great game and great people.
Yes. Oh, please do that. I have several people on my Christmas list and birthday list and all those things that I know will want that. I'm already getting your book for my husband, but don't tell him that's a secret. I can't let him watch this show now. I just gave away a gift. Yeah. No, this is and I want to add to that this really is not just a book for those in law enforcement or going into law enforcement. This is really a book that I wish the general population would read, because I think, getting those insights as to who you are as human beings, and the hearts, as we talk about the hearts behind the badges. I think it's, again, invaluable for people to get that relatability, that understanding of who you really are. And so I want everybody to get this book. Very bossy like that. Everyone get this book. So, Kevin Hallinan, thank you again so much for coming on the show. It was a joy to have you on. And when you write your next book, I would love for you to come back again. Can I pin you down for that?
Yes, you got it. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. All right, guys. This has been the Elsa Kurt Show. That was Kevin Hallinan. He's the author of Over the Wall. You need to go get that book over on Amazon right now. Take care, guys.